Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Tower Talk Business Radio brings you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation, including expert consultants and small business owners who have found success, but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their first-hand experience. And now, let's get down to business with Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation.
Hello, and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Nethke Business Banking, along with Denisha Boston Hill, CEO of Keeper Their Brand and Marketing Digital Agency, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that will help you grow your business. Plus, we interview top leaders in the industry. So let's jump into Success Chat. Competition is out there. New York is a big city, but Long Island is a small world, and winning business and differentiating yourself is getting tough. But more important than ever, it's build and maintain relationships and partnerships. You got to love what you do, and you got to find ways to inject passion and creativity. And our guest today, he does a fantastic job at this, not only with his job, but also with his other pursuits, which we're going to talk about. Helping provide us with business empowerment today is our guest, Michael Haltman. He is president of Hallmark Abstract. Michael is president of Hallmark Abstract, a New York State provider of title insurance for residential and commercial real estate transactions. He also serves as board chair for the Non-Denominational Combat Veterans. It's a 501c3 Heroes to Heroes Foundation that successfully helps vets who have attempted suicide or on a path to self-destruction. Michael, this incredible work that you do. Thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Ray, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're very psyched to have you. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you arrive? How'd you start, and then how'd you arrive at being a thought leader in the industry that you're in today?
Well, I was. If you want to go back, way back,
we'll go way back.
Okay. Well, I was actually born in North Belmore, and went to college at SUNY Albany. Got a business degree there. After I graduated with a degree in economics, I got an MBA in finance. And my career has taken a long path to where I am today. Mm-hmm. I started as a bond analyst at some of the largest Wall Street firms, became a bond trader, and then an equity trader. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a circuitous route to to title insurance, which is what Hallmark Abstract does. And prior to Hallmark Abstract, I owned a commercial mortgage lending company. And happily married 31 years, three fantastic children, two terrific dogs, and just living the Long Island dream.
You're in my world, my friend.
All right.
Now, tell us a little bit about what's going on in title insurance today.
Okay, well, title insurance, and I know you're aware, the New York State Department of Financial Services has kind of brought down a couple of regulations on the industry that have the potential to change things drastically, and so drastically that, in fact, the industry banded together and brought the New York State DFS to court. Mm-hmm. And in effect were successful in getting Regulation 208 annulled, although the state is now appealing. But, some of the more egregious parts of Regulation 208 were that title companies could no longer engage in any form of marketing beyond maybe giving out a pen or a coffee cup. We could give out a coffee cup, but we couldn't fill it with coffee. Huh. So, the title insurance industry is built on relationships, and building relationships is difficult if you can't take someone out for breakfast.
Right.
So the annulment of Regulation 208 has now allowed the industry to once again participate in marketing.
Right. Which, how you can do business without being able to differentiate yourself is beyond me.
Very difficult.
Yeah,
very difficult. Yes.
Now, tell us about some of the things that you do, with your company to differentiate yourself from the competition.
Well, what we try to do, so I am you had mentioned being a thought leader, and while I don't think of myself necessarily as a thought leader, I do try and provide value to the people who are, clients, but also to prospects. Mm-hmm. And I do that by writing on topics that I feel will be of interest to people. And, basically just, that's the marketing end of things. Beyond that, the way that my firm provides value and tries to differentiate in an industry that may not be obviously differentiatable is, through the value that we bring to clients. And when I say value, we're laser focused on protecting the buyer of real estate. And if that means that when we look into a deal and see things that put the buyer at risk, we will tell the buyer that we do not think they should be making that purchase.
Right.
And, that's a differentiator because sometimes the premium of title insurance is a bigger draw than the protection of the actual client. But we view our responsibility, we take it very seriously.
Now, can you tell us maybe a story about, and you don't have to name names, obviously.
Sure.
We'll keep the innocent.
Sure.
But are there any stories that you could tell us about why that's so important?
Well, there was one case where a buyer was going to be buying a property where there were two people on the deed. Mm-hmm. One of the people on the deed had bought the half interest from someone, and in the event that person died, it was a complicated deal. Mm-hmm. But basically it was the house was where the last surviving heir to the deed, the house would be theirs.
Right.
So in a convoluted way, in a complicated transaction, there was no way to know how it would fall out in the event that one of the people died first. Mm-hmm. So it was not in the client's best interest to purchase the property. The attorney wasn't necessarily happy with that fact, but right. It's our duty as a title company to protect the buyer.
Excellent. And I'm sure they appreciated that.
I certainly hope so.
Now, tell us about your process.
In terms of how we get from beginning to how we find clients.
How you find clients, yeah.
The industry, again, because it's very relationship focused, is we network quite a bit. Everyone in the company is a networker, and when we talk to an attorney a real estate attorney is our primary client mm-hmm. for the most part. Well, primary business provider, our actual client is their client, but we have to show them why our company does business in such a way that it would be to their benefit to give us an opportunity. So it's really an opportunity to earn their trust.
Right.
Most people we talk to are already dealing with 1, 2, or 3 title companies. So it's a process of building trust, building a relationship to the point where someone is willing to give us the opportunity to earn their business.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is Michael Haltman, president of Hallmark Abstract. All right, let's switch gears a little bit.
Sure. We'll
talk about some of the work that you do with Heroes to Heroes, because, it's awe-inspiring to someone like me who, I work for a nonprofit. I want to work with more nonprofits, and to see the impact of the work that you're doing, it's just awe-inspiring. And I think our listeners would like to learn more about that.
Well, I appreciate that, Ray, and it would be more than my pleasure to talk about Heroes to Heroes Foundation. So basically, Heroes to Heroes Foundation, as you mentioned in the beginning, is a non-denominational combat veterans 501c3. And we work with combat vets who've either attempted suicide or who it's felt are on a path towards self-destruction. And the woman who founded the charity is Judy Schaefer. And it's a somewhat of a long story of how she came to found Heroes to Heroes, but she determined through many different ways that one of the issues with suicide, or one of the main causes, is it's a loss of faith. And as someone who had Judy as a young woman was sent to Israel, and Israel helped her reconnect with her faith. And so she thought, what better way is than to create a program based in spirituality where we help these American heroes reconnect with the faith they lost due to the horrors of war that they experienced. And people will often say, why do you send groups of 12 to 14 to Israel? And basically it's because as the birthplace of so much religion, so much spirituality, so much faith, you can never recreate Israel by any other means. And the majority of people who go are not Jewish, have never been to Israel, have only heard about Israel, what they hear in the news. You know, to a certain extent, the nature of their problems stemmed from their time in the Middle East. So, you know, on many levels, it's counterintuitive.
Right.
But we've sent 200 vets to Israel so far, over 200, and all are with us now in various stages of recovery, of healing, of, you know, some may never work again, but their marriages are now becoming better. You know, they're not shut up in a room. You know, it's an incredible story. I've had the opportunity to spend time with many of these guys, and their stories are phenomenal.
And what to me is very awe-inspiring about the work that you do is that to give them that experience, when you're feeling lost, you're looking for an anchor. You're looking for something to grab hold of and to reaffirm your faith, or to get in touch with a faith that wasn't there. I can only imagine what the impact of that is, you know, to an individual.
Well, if you have time for a quick story.
Absolutely.
So one of the vets who came on the trip, not a Jewish man, but and he didn't really want to go on the trip. That's one of the issues that's faced sometimes. They're feeling hopeless, helpless, and despondent, and the last thing they want is this, but their families insist. This particular vet was not really communicative, kind of hung to himself on the journey. And one of the places that they go is Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum. Mm-hmm. And when they came out of the Holocaust Museum, and the last exhibit, if you want to call it an exhibit, in the Holocaust Museum is a room dedicated to the children slaughtered by the Nazis. And he came out of Yad Vashem, and he called everyone together, someone who had been off to himself and quiet and not communicating. And he brought everyone together, and he said, I need to tell you a story. And he told the story of how when he was in Iraq, his platoon came upon a father and his son. The father gave his son his gun and said, kill the infidels. This soldier killed a 10-year-old and then had to kill the father, or killed the father because the father gave the gun to the 10-year-old.
Right.
And he'd been living with this ever since he'd been back in Iraq, and that's, we deal with post-traumatic stress disorder, but we also deal with something called moral injury. And this was a classic case of moral injury. And what he learned when he went through the final exhibit at Yad Vashem, that he was a soldier. He did what he needed to do in the course of being a soldier, as opposed to the Nazis committing atrocities. And there's a big difference. And had he never gone to Yad Vashem, he may never have seen that difference. And that helped him get on the path towards healing.
Wow. And to me, that's divine intervention right there.
Yes.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Michael Haltman, president of Hallmark Abstract. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved